The alarm screamed through the small bridge of the HSS Ember. Captain gripped his chair as the ship shuddered. Red lights flashed across every screen. His heart pounded, but his face stayed calm. 20 years of flying through asteroid fields had taught him that panic killed faster than any weapon. "Report," he said quietly. Park looked up from her engineering console, her dark hair falling across her face. She was young, barely 28, but trusted her completely. "We just crossed some kind of boundary, Captain. The navigation system didn't catch it. There was no warning beacon, no marker, nothing." Their pilot spun in his seat. His hands still moved across the controls, keeping the ship steady. "Captain, we've got company, big company. 12 ships just appeared on sensors. They're surrounding us." Stood and walked to the main. Space looked empty for a moment, then the ships appeared. They were unlike anything he had ever seen. The vessels looked alive, with smooth curves and surfaces that seemed to breathe. They were enormous, each one 3 times the size of the Ember. The ships glowed with a soft purple light that made stomach twist. "Unknown vessels, this is the HSS Ember of Earth," said into the communications channel. "We mean no harm. We were conducting a mapping mission and appear to have crossed into your space accidentally. We're turning back now." Static crackled. Then a voice came through, cold and mechanical. "Human vessel, you have violated Empire territory. Your ship will be seized. Your crew will be processed. Resistance will result in immediate destruction. You have 30 seconds to shut down all systems and prepare for boarding." Jin Sung looked at from the tactical station. The older man's jaw was tight. "Captain, their weapons are charging. All 12 ships. If we don't respond, they'll disable us. If we do respond, we're dead either way." Lee stood near the back of the bridge, her medical kit already in her hands. She always prepared for the worst. "Empire?" she asked. "I've never heard of them. They're not in any of our databases." "That's because we've never been this far out," said. He stared at the 12 ships. His mind raced. The Ember was a scout vessel, barely armed. They had mining lasers for cutting through asteroids, basic shields, and engines designed for speed, not combat. Against 12 warships, they had no chance. But hadn't survived 2 decades in space by accepting death quietly. "How much power can you route to the mining lasers?" he asked. She blinked. "Captain, those lasers can't even scratch their shields. They're not weapons." "I didn't ask if they could scratch shields. I asked how much power you can route to them." His fingers flew across her console. "If I pull from life support, shields, and the backup generators, maybe 3 times normal output, but it'll burn them out after one shot." "Do it," said. He turned too. "Can you get us within 500 meters of their lead ship?" His eyes widened. 500 meters. "Captain, that's suicide range. They'll blast us apart." "Can you do it?" The young pilot grinned. It was the kind of smile that said he knew this was insane but loved it anyway. "Yes, sir." "Jin, target their lead ship. Not the hull. Look for power conduits, exhaust ports, anything that looks like it might connect to their engines." Jin studied his screens. His hands moved quickly. "There. The flagship has a cluster of what looks like energy conduits along the port side. They're glowing brighter than the rest of the hull, if those are what I think they are. Then we hit them hard and hope for a miracle." Finished. The voice came through again. 20 seconds, human vessel. Shut down your systems now." Sat back in his chair. He pressed the intercom. "All hands brace for combat maneuvers. This is going to get rough." 10 seconds. "Now," shouted. The Ember shot forward like a bullet. The acceleration pushed everyone back into their seats. Hands danced across the controls, making the ship twist and dive in ways that shouldn't be possible. The ships opened fire, but their shots missed. They were aiming where the Ember should have been, not where it actually went. "They're predictable," muttered. "They're firing in patterns, computer-controlled patterns." The Ember screamed toward the flagship. Alarms blared. The distance closed. 1,000 meters. 700, 500. Now yelled. The mining lasers fired. They were never meant to be weapons, but with triple power flowing through them, they burned white-hot. The beams struck the energy conduits on the flagship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the conduits exploded. The explosion rippled along the flagship's hull. Secondary explosions followed, each one bigger than the last. The massive ship shuddered and began to list to one side. Its weapons went dark. "Full reverse," ordered. "Get us out of here." Pulled the Ember away as the flagship's engines failed. The other 11 ships stopped firing. They seemed confused, uncertain. Their formation broke apart. The cold voice came through the communications channel again, but this time it sounded different, less certain. "How? This is not possible. Human vessel, you have violated protocol. You have damaged a warship. This is unprecedented." "Yeah, well, we're full of surprises," said. He cut the channel. "How are we looking?" "Mining lasers are completely dead. Shields are at 15%. Life support is back online but weak. We can fly, but we can't fight anymore." She looked at him. "Captain, what did we just do?" "We survived," said. He watched as the ships began to regroup. They weren't pursuing yet, but he knew they would soon. "Plot a course away from here. Maximum speed. Jin, monitor those ships. The moment they start following, I want to know." "Captain," said quietly, "if they send more ships after us." "Then we run," said, "and we keep running until we figure out how to survive." He looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were still here, still fighting. "We just hit an empire we didn't know existed. They're going to come after us with everything they have." Jin's console beeped. His face went pale. "Captain, I'm picking up a transmission. They are calling for reinforcements. They're requesting." He stopped and looked at. "They're requesting 200 ships." The bridge went silent. 200 ships, against one small scout vessel with no weapons and damaged systems. Took a deep breath. He thought about his daughter back on Earth. He thought about his crew. He thought about the fact that they should already be dead but somehow weren't. "Then I guess we better get creative," he said, "because I'm not done living yet." The Ember jumped to faster-than-light speed, leaving the fleet behind, but knew the truth. This wasn't an escape. This was just the beginning. The Empire had just learned that humans existed, and now they were going to learn what happened when you tried to kill one. The hunt had begun. The Ember rattled as it flew through the asteroid field. Rocks the size of buildings spun past close enough to touch. Gripped the controls, his eyes never blinking as he threaded the ship through impossible gaps. Behind them, 200 warships followed like a swarm of angry insects. 3 days had passed since the first encounter. 3 days of running, hiding, and barely surviving. The crew hadn't slept properly. They ate ration bars at their stations and took turns resting for a few hours. Coffee had become more valuable than gold. "They're still behind us," Jin Sung said, watching his tactical display. "They don't give up. Every time we think we've lost them, they find us again." Studied the asteroid field ahead. His eyes were red from exhaustion, but his mind was sharp. "They're tracking us somehow. Could they have tagged us? Some kind of beacon." Crawled out from under her console. Her uniform was covered in grease and burn marks. She had been working non-stop to keep the ship flying. "I've checked everything, Captain. There's no beacon. I think they're just following our engine signature. These old fusion drives leave a trail." "Can you mask it?" "Not without shutting down the engines completely." She wiped sweat from her forehead. "But I had another idea. Remember those mineral extraction drones we use for sampling asteroids? I could reprogram them." "Reprogram them how?" Smiled. It was a tired smile, but there was mischief in it. "Turn them into mines. They're small, hard to detect, and we have 50 of them. If the fly through a field of those." Nodded slowly. "Do it. Jin, I need you to analyze their attack patterns. They've fired on us 17 times in 3 days. There has to be a pattern." Jin pulled up the data. He studied it for a long moment, his experienced eyes seeing things others would miss. Captain, they're not just following patterns, they are patterns. Watch. He displayed the attacks on the main screen. Every time they fire, it's the same formation, same timing, same targeting sequence. It's like they're following a script. A script. Their ships are biological, right? Maybe they can't improvise. Maybe they're programmed from birth to fight a certain way. Jin leaned back. If that's true, we can predict them. And if we can predict them, we can beat them, finished. He felt a spark of hope for the first time in days. How's the crew holding up? Lee looked up from her medical station. She had been treating minor injuries and exhaustion across the crew. We're running on fumes, Captain. Everyone needs real rest, and showing signs of pilot fatigue. His reaction times are slowing. Didn't look away from his controls. I'm fine. You're not fine, said firmly. You've been flying for 18 hours straight. You need sleep before you kill us all. She's right, said. You've got 6 hours. Get some rest. I'll take the controls. Captain, with all respect, you're a terrible pilot, said. Then it's a good thing we're hiding in an asteroid field and not flying through it. Stood. That's an order. Reluctantly left the bridge. Sat at the pilot station, his hands resting on controls he barely understood. The ship drifted slowly through the asteroids, powered down to minimum systems. They were hiding, waiting for to finish her work on the drones. 6 hours later, the crew was back at their stations. They looked slightly better but still exhausted. Had finished reprogramming 47 of the 50 drones. The other 3 had failed during testing. The fleet is still searching the asteroid field, Jin reported. They've split into groups, 15 ships per group, very organized, very predictable. Smiled, perfect. Deploy the drones in a spread pattern. Make it look random like debris. Jin, find me the group that's most likely to fly through them. The third group is moving in a search pattern that will take them right through the center, Jin said. He showed the projected course on screen. If we time this right. Do it, ordered. Launch the drones. They scattered through the asteroid field, looking exactly like space junk. The Ember drifted deeper into the rocks, hiding behind a massive asteroid that blocked sensor scans. They waited. The third group approached, 15 massive warships glowing with that eerie purple light. They moved in perfect formation, their sensors scanning for the Ember. They flew right through the drone field. Nothing happened. Asked quietly. Wait for it, she whispered. The last ship passed the final drone, then pressed a button. The drones exploded simultaneously. They were small explosions, not enough to destroy the warships. But they didn't need to destroy them. The explosions sent thousands of shrapnel pieces flying in all directions. The shrapnel tore through the ship's hulls, shredding their biological armor. 5 ships exploded immediately. The others staggered, venting atmosphere and fluids into space. Their formations broke apart. Alarms wailed across communication channels. Now shouted, "Get us out of here." The Ember shot forward, flying through the chaos. Pushed the ship harder than it was ever meant to go, dodging between damaged vessels and spinning asteroids. The surviving ships tried to fire, but their targeting systems were damaged. Their shots went wild. The Ember escaped into open space and jumped to faster-than-light speed. On the bridge, everyone was silent for a moment, then started laughing. It was a slightly hysterical laugh, the kind that came after too much stress and too little sleep, but it was also victorious. We just took out 5 warships with mining drones, she said. Mining drones. Jin was studying his console, but he was smiling too. Captain, I'm picking up communications. They're panicking. They don't understand what happened. They're reporting that we used unknown weapons and unpredictable tactics. Good, said. Let them stay confused. How long until they track us again? Maybe 6 hours, maybe less, stretched, working out the tension in his shoulders. But they'll be more careful now. They won't fly through any debris fields. Then we changed tactics again, said. He looked at his crew. They were tired, scared, and wounded. But they were also something else. They were survivors. More than that, they were fighters. Captain said softly, can I ask something? Why are we still running toward space? We should be heading back to Earth. Was quiet for a moment. He had been thinking about this question for 3 days. Because if we run home, we lead them to Earth. We lead them to our families, our cities, our entire species. Right now, they think humans are just one small ship. Let's keep it that way. So what's the plan? Jin asked. Looked at the star map. Space stretched ahead of them, vast and unexplored. 200 ships were hunting them. More would come. The logical choice was to run, to hide, to hope for rescue that would never arrive. But had never been good at logic. The plan is simple, he said. We keep doing what we're doing. We stay unpredictable. We hit them where they don't expect. We make them afraid. He stood and faced his crew. They think they're hunting us. Let's show them what it's like to be hunted. Nodded slowly. Jin's smile grew wider, cracked his knuckles, closed her medical kit with a snap. All right then, said. I guess we're going to war. Not war, corrected. Survival. We survive one more day, then another, and every day we survive we make them pay for it. The Ember flew deeper into enemy territory, carrying 5 humans against an empire of billions. The odds were impossible. The situation was hopeless. But the crew of the Ember was done, accepting what was possible. 3 weeks had passed since the Ember first crossed into space. The ship was barely recognizable now. Scorch marks covered the hull. Half the systems were held together with improvised repairs. The crew looked like ghosts, thin and exhausted, but they were still alive. And the Empire was starting to fear them. Supply convoy, 3 ships, light escort, Jin Sung reported from his station. His voice was hoarse from lack of sleep. They're heading toward the 4th Fleet. If we hit them now, we can be gone before reinforcements arrive. Studied the tactical display. 3 weeks ago, he would have thought attacking a convoy was suicide. Now it was just another day. What do we have left? 2 functional mining lasers, barely, shields at 30%. The FTL drive is screaming every time we use it, and we're down to our last week of food. Hands never stopped moving across her console. She was always fixing something. But I managed to salvage some warheads from that ship we destroyed last week. I can rig them as torpedoes. How many? 4. They're unstable and might blow us up instead of the enemy, but 4. Almost smiled. In 3 weeks he had learned that might blow us up was the best odds they usually got. Do it. Get us in position. Silent running. No engine signature until we're right on top of them. The Ember drifted through space like a piece of debris. Had become a master at making the ship look dead while keeping it very much alive. They coasted toward the convoy using momentum alone, their power systems at minimum. The convoy never saw them coming. The Ember fired all 4 improvised torpedoes at point-blank range. The first 2 struck the lead supply ship, tearing it apart. The third hit an escort vessel, crippling its engines. The 4th torpedo malfunctioned and spiraled off into space. Go, 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 shouted. Fired the engines. The Ember shot past the burning convoy, its mining lasers cutting through the second supply ship as they fled. The remaining escort vessel tried to pursue, but Jin had already hacked its targeting computer with a virus had helped design. The virus was based on human cold bacteria, modified to attack biological systems. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. The escort ship's weapons fired randomly into space as its systems crashed. The Ember vanished into faster-than-light speed. 2 hours later, Jin was studying something on his screens. He had been quiet since the attack, his face intense with concentration. Finally, he looked up. "Captain, I need to show you something," he said. The crew gathered around Jin's station. He displayed the data they had pulled from destroyed ships over the past 3 weeks. There were battle logs, ship designs, tactical databases, and communication records. "I've been analyzing every piece of information we've gathered," Jin explained. "And I found something. They don't just follow patterns. Patterns are everything to them. Their entire civilization is built on perfect mathematical optimization." "Meaning what?" asked. "Meaning they calculate everything centuries in advance. Every battle plan, every ship design, every tactical response. It's all predetermined. They've been using the same warfare doctrine for over 1,000 years because it's mathematically perfect." Jin pulled up a battle plan. It looked like a complex equation. "They've conquered 47 star systems with this doctrine. It's never failed them." "Until us," said quietly. "Until us," Jin confirmed. "We don't follow patterns, we can't. Humans improvise, we adapt. We change tactics mid-battle based on instinct and creativity. To them, that's not just unexpected, it's impossible. Their entire understanding of warfare doesn't include the concept of chaos." Stared at the data. His tired mind was starting to see the bigger picture. "So every time we do something random, something that doesn't make tactical sense, we break their system," Jin finished. "Their ships, their strategies, even their empire structure. It's all optimized for fighting enemies that behave predictably. We're the first enemy they've faced in centuries that doesn't. That's why they keep sending more ships," realized. "They're trying to solve us like a math problem, but we're not a problem with a solution." Leaned against his console. "So what happens when an empire built on perfect order faces perfect chaos?" "It breaks," said. He felt something shift in his chest. For 3 weeks they had been running and surviving, but this changed everything. "Jin, how big is their empire, really?" Jin pulled up a star map. The empire stretched across a huge section of space. 47 systems, billions of people, thousands of ships. "They're massive, Captain. But here's what's interesting. According to these records, they haven't fought a real war in 200 years. They've just been conquering and assimilating. Every species they've met has either surrendered immediately or been crushed by their superior tactics. Because those species fought the way they expected them to fight," said. His mind was racing now. "What about their client species, the ones they conquered?" 12 species serve them," Jin said. "Most have been enslaved for centuries. They build the ships, work their factories, maintain their empire. And they've never rebelled. According to these records, rebellion is mathematically impossible. They calculate the exact force needed to suppress resistance before it starts." Walked to the and stared out at the stars. His crew watched him, waiting. They had all lost weight. Their uniforms were torn and stained. They should have been dead 100 times over. But they weren't dead. They were here, and they had just learned something the Empire didn't know. "We have a choice," said finally. "We can run, try to make it back to human space and report everything we've learned. Maybe we make it, maybe we don't. Either way, they now know humans exist. Eventually, they'll find Earth." Or asked, "Turn to face them. Or we keep going. We've destroyed or damaged 150 ships in 3 weeks, just us. 5 people in a broken scout ship. Imagine what happens if we keep going. Imagine what happens if we show their client species that rebellion is possible." "You want to start a revolution," said. It wasn't a question. "I want to survive," corrected. "But if we're going to survive, we need to do more than run. We need to make the Empire so busy fighting itself that it doesn't have time to find Earth." Jin was nodding slowly. "We'd be going deeper into enemy territory. More ships, more danger. We might not make it back." "We might not make it back anyway," pointed out. "At least this way we take them with us." Stood up. She was young, the youngest of them all. She should have been terrified. Instead, she looked determined. "I joined the scout service to explore new worlds. I didn't sign up to destroy an empire." She paused. "But I also didn't sign up to let that empire hunt us like animals. So yes, Let's do this. Pulled out her medical scanner and ran it over the crew. For the record, you're all suffering from exhaustion, malnutrition, and stress that should have killed you by now. Medically speaking, this plan is insane. She put the scanner away. I'm in. Didn't even hesitate. If we're flying into hell, I'm the pilot. Let's go. Jin looked at the star map again. They have 3 mother ships. That's where they berth all their vessels. They're located in the core systems, if we could reach them. Then we don't just hurt the Empire, said. We cripple it. The crew was silent for a moment, understanding the weight of what they were choosing. They were 5 people. The Empire had billions. The odds weren't just bad. They were impossible. But 3 weeks ago, surviving the first attack had been impossible too. All right, said. We do this properly. Jin, I need detailed intelligence on those mother ships. Keep this ship flying no matter what. Find me everything you can about biology. Plot us a course deeper into their territory. We're not running anymore. What are we doing? Asked. Looked at his crew, these 5 people who had become his family. We're going hunting. They think they're predators. Time to show them what happens when the prey fights back. The Ember turned away from the Empire's edge and flew toward its heart. Behind them, 800 ships searched for a single human vessel. None of them knew that the hunt had just changed. The prey had become the hunter. And somewhere in the vast network of the Empire, the first cracks were beginning to show. The Ember had become a legend, not to humans who thought the ship was destroyed months ago, but to the slaves of the Empire. Whispered stories spread through work camps and factories. A ghost ship that struck without warning, a vessel that refused to die. 5 humans who had done what 12 species thought impossible. They had made the bleed. Another communication intercept, Jin Sung said. He looked worse than ever. They all did. 6 weeks of constant combat had carved them down to bone and will. The High Council is meeting. They're arguing about us. Some want to dedicate half their fleet to hunting us. Others say we're a distraction from more important matters. Coughed, his ribs hurt. 3 days ago, an explosion had thrown him across the bridge, had taped him up, but she couldn't fix everything. What's the count? We've destroyed or disabled 230 ships, Jin said quietly. We've hit 17 supply depots, 4 communication relays, and 6 manufacturing facilities. The economy is straining. It takes them years to grow new ships, and we're destroying them faster than they can replace them. And us? Asked. Answered from engineering. Life support is at 40%. Weapons are gone. Shields are a joke. The FTL drive makes a sound like a dying animal every time we jump. We're flying on prayers and spare parts. She looked up. We have maybe 1 week left before something critical fails and we can't fix it. 1 week, had thought they would last 1 day, then 1 week, then 1 month. Now it had been 6 weeks and they were still here, still fighting, but was right. The Ember was dying. Captain, I'm picking up something, said suddenly. Not different signature, smaller ships. They're broadcasting on an encrypted channel. Can you break the encryption? Asked. Jin worked his console. It's old code but modified. Wait, I've got it. He played the transmission. A voice came through, speaking a language the computer had to translate. Anyone hearing this, the fleets are divided. Their supply lines are weak. If you're out there, the ghost ship, know this. We see what you're doing. We understand. Help us and we will help you. The bridge went silent. It's from the, said, checking the database. One of the client species. They've been slaves for over 300 years. His hand shook as he reached for the communications control. This was a decision that could change everything, or get them all killed faster. He pressed the button. This is captain of the human ship Ember. Who am I speaking to? Static. Then the voice returned, now speaking directly to them. I lead a resistance cell of 6,000. We've been hiding in the outer systems, waiting for a chance. Then we heard about you. A ship that cannot be killed. Humans who fight like demons. You've given us something we thought was lost. "What's that?" asked Hope. 20 hours later, stood on a small moon facing and her council. They had arranged a meeting through carefully encrypted channels. The moon was abandoned, too small for them to care about. It was perfect for a secret meeting. Was tall and thin, with blue skin and 4 arms. Her people had built the empire with their labor, and their suffering showed in every face. "You're smaller than I expected," said, looking at. "5 of you have done what armies couldn't. How?" "We didn't follow their rules," said simply. "They expect everyone to fight the same way. We don't. We can't. We're human." "Teach us," said. "Teach us to fight like you." Over the next 3 days, the crew of the Ember became teachers. Jin showed them how to hack biological systems, taught them how to build improvised weapons from civilian equipment, explained how to fly unpredictably, how to make computers guess wrong, shared her biological warfare techniques, viruses designed to attack ships. But the most important lesson came from the think in straight lines, he told the assembled warriors. They calculate the optimal move and make it, every time, but war isn't mathematics. War is chaos. You need to make the worst tactical move sometimes just because they'll never expect it. Retreat when you should attack when you should retreat, make them question everything. "That sounds insane," one soldier said. "It is insane," agreed. "That's why it works." When the Ember left, they left behind 6,000 who now believed they could fight back. More importantly, they left behind an idea that spread faster than any ship could travel. Rebellion. Over the next 2 weeks, they rose up in 4 systems simultaneously. They weren't organized. They weren't prepared. But they were unpredictable, and that was enough. The fleets, already stretched thin hunting the Ember, had to divert ships to suppress the rebellions. Then the species rebelled. Then the Empire was burning, and one small human ship had lit the match. "Captain, we've got a problem," Jin said. They were hiding in a gas giant's atmosphere, using the dense clouds to mask their signature. "They are pulling ships from the border fleets. They're consolidating, and they're heading toward the mother ship locations. They're protecting their most valuable assets," said. He pulled up the tactical map. The 3 mother ships were in different systems, each surrounded by defensive fleets. How many ships? 3,000 at Mother Ship Prime, 2,000 at each of the others. "Captain, even if we had a fleet, we couldn't break through those defenses." "Then we don't break through," said. "We slip through." Laughed, it was a bitter sound. "Captain, we can't slip past 3,000 ships. Our stealth systems are barely functional." "I know," studied the map. His crew was dying. They had lost 40 pounds each. Hands shook from exhaustion. Jin had stopped sleeping entirely. His brilliant eyes were dull with fatigue. Kept them all alive through chemistry and stubborn will, but even she was reaching her limits. They had 1 week before the ship fell apart, maybe less. "Prime," said, pointing at the map. "That's the oldest mother ship, the primary one, if we could reach it." "We'd die," said flatly. "Captain, I need to say something. We're dying already. Slowly, but dying. Our bodies can't take much more. Our minds can't take much more. If we try this, we won't come back." Looked at his crew, his family. These 4 people who had followed him into hell and never complained, never quit, never surrendered. "I know," he said quietly. "I'm not ordering this, I'm asking. We can run. We can try to reach human space. Maybe we make it, maybe we don't, or we can do this. We can hit them where it really hurts. We can give those rebellions a real chance." He paused. "But if we do this, we're not coming home." The crew was silent. Spoke first. "I didn't join the scouts to die old and comfortable. Let's do something that matters." Nodded. "I've kept this ship flying for 7 weeks. I can keep it flying for 1 more mission." Jin smiled grimly. "I've hacked their systems for this long. I can hack 1 more." Closed her medical kit. "Someone has to keep you idiots alive. Might as well be me." Felt something in his chest. Pride, love, grief. They were all going to die, but they were going to die fighting. "All right," he said. "Then let's show the Empire what 5 humans can really do." The Ember left its hiding place and turned toward Mother Ship Prime. Behind them, 4 client species fought for their freedom. Ahead of them, 3,000 warships waited. The final battle was coming, and win or lose, the galaxy would never forget the ship that refused to die. Mother Ship Prime was beautiful and terrible. It hung in space like a sleeping god, 20 kilometers long, glowing with the purple light of 1,000 years of life. Around it, 3,000 warships moved in perfect formations, protecting the source of the Empire's military might. The Ember drifted toward them like a piece of space debris. The ship looked dead. Most of it actually was dead. Only essential systems still functioned, and barely. Inside, 5 humans prepared for the end. "Life support failing in sections 3 through 7, Park reported. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. "I've sealed them off. We've got maybe 4 hours of air left." "Plenty of time," said. He was lying, they all knew it, but lies were all they had now. "Jin, status on the defense fleet." Jin Sung studied his screens through eyes that hadn't truly slept in 2 months. "They're repositioning. The rebellions are pulling ships away. We've got a window, maybe 3 hours before they realize we're not debris." 3 hours. Looked at his crew. Sat at the pilot station, his face pale and thin. The young man who had been so full of life 2 months ago looked like a ghost now. Lee moved quietly around the bridge, checking everyone's vital signs with medical equipment that was mostly broken. She caught eye and shook her head slightly. They were all dying. "Captain," said quietly, "I found something in the biological scans we took of Mother Ship Prime. Something important." Everyone turned to look at her. "The mother ships are living creatures," continued. "Ancient ones, over 2,000 years old. They've never been attacked in all that time. They've never needed to be. So they never developed defensive immune systems. They're basically helpless against biological threats." "You mean like a virus?" asked. "Not exactly, but I've been working on something. Remember that cold virus I modified to attack ship systems? I've changed it again, made it more aggressive. If we could get it inside the mother ship's circulatory system, it would spread through the entire organism in hours." "And kill it?" asked. "Eventually, maybe days, maybe weeks, but yes, it would die." Pulled out a small container. "This is everything I have left, 1 dose, that's it." Took the container. It felt almost weightless. Such a small thing to destroy an empire with. "How do we deliver it?" "We need to breach the hull and inject it directly into the biological tissue, which means getting inside their defensive perimeter, which means—" Didn't finish. She didn't need to. "Which means a suicide run," finished for her. He cracked his knuckles, a habit that had become a ritual. "Well, I've been flying this ship on suicide runs for 2 months. What's one more?" "This is different," Jin said. "We won't be running away this time. We won't be surviving." "I know," said simply. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Outside, Mother Ship Prime pulsed with ancient life. Around it, 3,000 ships maintained their eternal watch. Somewhere in the Empire, 4 species fought for freedom because 5 humans had shown them it was possible. "I need to say something," said. He stood facing his crew, his family. 2 months ago we crossed a border we didn't know existed. Since then we've done impossible things. We've destroyed an empire's navy. We've sparked rebellions across a dozen worlds. We've survived when we should have died 100 times over." He paused, his voice thick. "I'm proud of you, all of you, and I'm sorry. Sorry I couldn't get you home. Sorry I couldn't keep you safe." "Captain," said, tears ran down her face. "You gave us a chance to matter, to really matter. We've done more in 2 months than most people do in a lifetime." "And we're not done yet," added. "Let's finish this." They had 4 hours of air, 2 hours to reach the mother ship. That left 2 hours to do the impossible one last time. The Ember drifted closer, guided it with such skill that the sensors saw only debris, a dead ship, floating among thousands of other pieces of wreckage from old battles. The defensive fleet ignored them, focused on external threats. They never looked for enemies already inside. 1 hour to the mothership. I never got married, Jin said suddenly. I always thought I had time. I was going to retire, find someone, settle down. But I kept taking one more mission, one more job. And now there's no time left. I have a daughter back on Earth, said. She's 7, maybe 8 by now. I missed her birthday. He touched a photo on his console, a little girl with dark hair and a bright smile. I hope she knows I love her. I hope she knows I did this to keep her safe. And Jin held hands. They had fallen in love in the middle of chaos and never had time to truly explore it. Now they never would. I joined the medical corps to save lives, said. I've done that. But I also learned how to take them, how to make weapons out of medicine. I'm not sure what that makes me. It makes you a survivor, said. It makes you someone who did what needed to be done. 30 minutes to the mothership. Alarms started blaring. They've detected us, Jin shouted. The defense fleet is moving to intercept. Now, ordered, give us everything you've got. The Ember roared to life, pushed the dying ship harder than it had ever been pushed. The engine screamed. The hull groaned. Warning lights flashed across every console, but the ship moved faster and faster, straight toward Mothership Prime. The defensive fleet opened fire. Thousands of weapons lit up space. The Ember twisted and dove, hands dancing across the controls one last time. Shots missed by meters. One struck their port side, tearing through already damaged armor. Hull breach in engineering, yelled. I'm sealing it. Don't, shouted. Stay on the bridge, we need you here. The engines will fail if I don't, ran from the bridge. The door sealed behind her. Jin screamed, but she was gone. The Ember's engine steadied. In engineering, worked alone in a sealed compartment, holding the ship together through pure will and skill. She could hear the hull cracking around her. She could feel the air getting thin, but her hands never stopped moving. The Ember reached Mothership Prime, aimed for a spot it identified, a weak point in the biological hull. They hit at full speed. The impact nearly tore the ship apart. The bridge went dark. Emergency lights flickered on. Alarms everywhere. But they were through. The Ember had punched through the mothership's hull and lodged itself inside. Go, ordered, deploy the virus. Grabbed the container and ran. Behind her, she heard explosions. They were firing on their own mothership, trying to kill the Ember before it could do more damage. She ran through smoking corridors, through sections that were open to space, through places where the walls were bleeding. She found a major artery, pulsing with the mothership's life fluids. She injected the virus directly into it. Done, she whispered into her communicator. Get out of here. We're not leaving you, Jin shouted back. But they couldn't move. The Ember was wedged in the mothership's hull, unable to fly. Tried everything, but the ship wouldn't budge. Captain's voice came through, weak and faint from engineering. I can overload the FTL drive, create an explosion. It'll blow us free. That'll kill you, Jin cried. I'm already dead, said. Life support failed down here 5 minutes ago. I'm running on emergency oxygen. Maybe 10 minutes left, she coughed. Let me do this. Let me save you. Please, Jin begged. I love you, said. I'm glad I met you, even if it was only for 2 months. Now get out of here and tell them what we did. She triggered the overload before anyone could stop her. The FTL drive exploded with the force of a small sun. The blast tore the Ember free from the mothership's hull. It also killed Engineer Park instantly, her body vaporized in the explosion. The force threw the Ember across space like a toy. Regained control somehow. The ship was barely flying, more falling than anything else. Made it back to the bridge, her suit torn and her arm broken. Jin sat at his console, tears streaming down his face, staring at the readouts that showed was gone. Wormhole, said through clenched teeth. There's a wormhole nearby, natural phenomenon if I can reach it. Do it, ordered. Behind them, Mother Ship Prime shuddered. The virus was spreading. The massive creature that had birthed warships for 1,000 years was dying. The defensive fleet fell into chaos, unable to understand what was happening. The Ember tumbled into the wormhole. Space twisted. Reality bent. When they emerged, they were light years away, in an empty system near human space. They had escaped. 3 of them had escaped. Over the next weeks, they learned what they had done. Mother Ship Prime died after 6 days. Without it, the Empire lost 40% of its military production. The rebellions, inspired by the Ember's attack, intensified. The other 2 mother ships tried to compensate, but the Empire was fracturing. Within 2 months, the 300-year-old Empire collapsed entirely, splitting into dozens of warring factions. The Ember limped into Earth's solar system 16 days after escaping. 3 people brought it home: Captain, Tactical Officer Jin Sung, Medical Officer Lee. Pilot had died 3 days from Earth when his injuries finally overwhelmed him. He died at his controls, flying them home until his last breath. When they reported to the Human Defense Council, nobody could believe it. The Ember had been declared destroyed months ago. Instead, it had destroyed an empire. The war was over before it began. They never found Earth. They were too busy tearing themselves apart. Captain retired. He returned to his daughter and held her and cried. He never talked about what happened. He didn't need to. The whole galaxy was talking about it. Jin Sung never recovered from losing. He designed ships for the rest of his life, always trying to build something that would have kept her alive. Lee worked with the freed client species, teaching them medicine and helping them heal. She carried tools with her always, a reminder of what had been sacrificed. The Ember was placed in a museum on Earth. Millions came to see it. The small, battered ship that had done the impossible. The museum placed a plaque at its base. HSS Ember, crew of 5. Against 3,000 ships and an empire of billions, they fought with improvised weapons, broken systems, and human stubbornness. They lost 2 of their own. They saved countless billions. They proved that courage and creativity matter more than numbers. They saw nothing coming, the Empire said. They were wrong. They never saw the humans coming. Across the galaxy, in places that were once enslaved, people told stories of the ghost ship, the vessel that couldn't be killed. 5 humans who changed everything. They had gone to map stars. Instead, they had freed worlds. And the universe would never forget.